Listen, everyone, I need you locked in for this one because something just went down in crypto, and I'm honestly shocked more people aren't screaming about it. And I'm telling you right now, when this thing blows open, everyone's going to pretend they knew it all along. Guess what? They didn't. They weren't paying attention, but you are because you are here. So make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. What if I told you the banks just quietly handed us the biggest confirmation we've been waiting for? What if I said this system, the same legacy system that's been fighting crypto for over a decade, is now rearranging the entire global messaging standard around one outcome? And everything points to XRP sitting right in the center of that blueprint. Stick with me because what I'm about to show you, it feels less like crypto news and more like the blueprint of a controlled financial reset that's been hiding in plain sight. And the craziest part, they're doing it right before the biggest global migration in banking history. Let's get into it, folks. Bitcoin's coming in at 86,000. That's right, $86,557. It's currently up 2.53% in the past 24 hours. ETH coming in at 2,817. It's currently up 2.67%. And XRP, yeah, buddy, it's coming in at $2.04. I really don't know if it should be getting a year buddy anymore at $2.04. I'm just going to be honest with you. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. Let's jump over to this and listen to this clip from Michael Saylor before we get into the big news. So Saylor's out here. He's like, look, as long as Bitcoin goes up 1.25% a year, he's like, we can pay the dividend forever. Let's listen up.
Bitcoin's appreciating about 50% a year for the past 5 years. We expect it'll appreciate about 30% a year for the next 20 years. And we offer these credit instruments that pay about 10% dividend yield in the form of a return on capital dividends. And so it's a pretty strong business model. If you want to work out the math, as long as Bitcoin goes up 1.25% a year, the company can pay the dividend forever and create more shareholder value. If Bitcoin stops going up 0% forever, we got about 80 years to figure out what we're going to do about that.
There you go. Well, Saylor, clearly he's done the math, folks. Well, he's not nervous, right? Now let's jump. Here it is. Let's get into this good stuff, okay? Here's a quick reset, but not too quick here because this is where the story starts getting weird, but in a good way weird, okay? Listen up. Ripple just became the first DLT-focused member of the ISO 20022 standards body. Let that sink in for a moment. Now, this isn't a membership, right, that you buy. You're not going to Sam's Club or Costco and buying a membership here. You don't just sign up, okay? You get invited. You get invited when you're part of the future of the banking world, and this is what they are building towards. Remember, ISO isn't a trend. This is the universal language for global money movement. Every bank, every clearinghouse, every major institution, they are shifting to it. And now you got Ripple, the only real blockchain player sitting at the same table as Swift, Fedwire, CLS, Euroclear, and every other mega institution that makes up the global banking machine run. The first DLT company ever in this seat, folks. Why? Well, it's simple. Because they're not testing whether blockchain fits into the new system. They are designing the new system with it already baked in. XRP isn't being forced into ISO. ISO is adjusting to make room for XRP. And the moment Ripple got that seat, the power dynamic quietly shifted. This is the part where people will look back and say on, damn, that's when the rails changed forever. And then Smoke wants you to know, Ripple's endgame has never been a mystery. It's just been ignored. Ripple's entire vision, it's simple, but massive. Use XRP to provide instant on-demand liquidity once the market cap gets high enough for the big banks to safely tap in. Think about that for a second. Banks don't want to hold volatility assets, right? but they do want instant liquidity across borders, especially in a world moving away from swift delays and pre-funded accounts. Ripple isn't trying to convince banks to hold XRP. Ripple is building a system where banks just use XRP the same way we use the internet. You don't think about the infrastructure, right? It just works. You don't care how an email is sent and what's going on behind the scenes. You just care that your email gets there. Here's the kicker. The only missing piece has always been scale. Once XRP's market cap reaches a certain threshold, the asset becomes deep enough, liquid enough, and stable enough for the biggest financial players to tap into without blinking. That's why your institutional pieces, your ETFs, your custody rails, your ISO 20022, that is why they are all lining up at the same exact time. They're not preparing for anything. They're synchronizing their launch, which gets us over to this. Brace yourself. After November, after this month, your ISO messaging will be accepted on the Swift network. No exception. No old formats, no legacy rails. We're talking 11,000 plus financial institutions, all forced onto a single standardized messaging framework that just so happens to support tokenization, smart contracts, and real-time settlement. You can't migrate the entire global banking system onto a new standard unless you've already tested it. And you tested what runs on top of it. So ask yourself this question. Why would this cutover matter unless something bigger is coming right after? This isn't a date. It's a deadline, a countdown, and every move Ripple has made fits perfectly into this window before this migration locks into place, which brings us to this, because Smoke put together this video presentation. I'm not going to show it to you. I'll just talk to you about it. If you want to see it, go over to his page. I retweeted it. So on the ISO 20022 website, I bet you probably didn't know they had a website. It is showing that the Interledger protocol ILP on the Swift network has already been approved. Interledger is what connects everything. It's not a blockchain. It's the bridge between blockchains and the old financial rails. It is how you unify value movement across platforms that normally cannot talk to each other. And for Swift to approve ILP integration quietly, I might add, right before the migration, that's not random. That's not testing. That's infrastructure being put into place. If you were building a multi-trillion-dollar network where digital assets and banking rails must coexist, you're going to want a universal settlement layer as well. Wouldn't you? I mean, I would. And the only way that ILP at production scale, it's with Ripple. This is like finding blueprints to a new building and realizing, hey, the foundation was already laid years ago, which brings you to the icing on the cake, because people either forget, they're blind, or they want to act confused. Swift has openly admitted they already tested their ISO 20022 framework with XRP, XLM, Algorand, HBAR, and Quant. This tells you two things. They're building for a tokenized world. And number two, they're testing interoperability between legacy rails and digital assets. And look at this line in this document. It states that by January of 2026, deeper integrations of central bank digital currencies and tokenized assets are expected, enabling new digital monetary models. This isn't doom posting, folks. This isn't speculation. This is Swift telling you exactly what is happening. That by 2026, central bank digital currencies, tokenized assets, and interoperable networks become the new normal. And guess which asset sits at the center of cross-network liquidity? The one that was built for it. The ones that the banks have been quietly testing behind the curtain. The one that is now sitting on the ISO standards body. I want you to understand that XRP isn't joining the system. XRP is the system, everyone. So let's zoom out for a second. That was a lot of info. I need a drink after all that. Ripple joins the ISO standards body. Banks, they lock in a November 2025 migration. Interledger gets approved for the Swift integration. And Swift, they've already tested XRP. Ripple is diversifying revenue and moving downward pressure on XRP. Everything points towards a coordinated shift happening right under everyone's nose. They're not experimenting. They're aligning. They are preparing. They are synchronizing the moment that digital assets become mandatory and not optional. Most people, they're not going to connect those dots, but guess what? You did. And when the world finally wakes up, they're going to say, damn, we should have listened. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found value in this, folks. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll catch all y'all on the next one.